Yes, boss. In yesterday's class, I was talking about Spring Bean life cycle. Who manages Spring Bean life cycle? Who take care of Spring Bean life cycle, guys? Spring container, also called as IOC container. As part of Spring Bean life cycle, how many life cycle events will be raised, guys? Two life cycle events will be raised. Number one, instantiation event. Number one, instantiation event, guys. Number two, destruction event. Okay, the life cycle method that execute for instantiation event is called as what? Init life cycle method. The life cycle method that executes for destruction event is called as what? Destroy life cycle method, right? Yeah, tell me when instantiation event rises and init life cycle method executes. After Spring Bean class object creation, after completing all injections, after completing injections, this instantiation event will be raised and init lifecycle method will be executed. What we do in this init lifecycle method? In the init lifecycle method, we do two things. We initialize those properties which are not participating in injection if needed. Next, we also check whether important properties are injected with the correct values or not, valid values or not. So then what we do in destroy lifecycle method, because this event will be, destruction event will be raised when container is about to destroy our Spring Bean class object. So we nullify the bean properties. If in Spring Bean is having any non-Java resources, we try to release them. If Spring Bean is having any non-Java resources, we try to release them. Yeah, total how many approaches are there to implement Spring Bean lifecycle, guys? Three approaches. Declarative approach, where XML configuration takes place. Programmatic approach, where we make Spring Bean implementing some predefined interfaces, Spring supplied interfaces. And annotation approach, where we work with post construct and pre-destroy annotations. Post construct and pre-destroy annotation. Then we discussed about what approach, guys? Declarative approach. Now tell me, guys, here you can take your choice methods as life cycle method, but the method should have same standard signature. What is that standard signature? Public void method, no parameters. No parameters. And these methods should be configured explicitly by using what? Init-hyphen method, destroy-hyphen method attributes, guys. Init-hyphen method, destroy-hyphen method attributes we should use to configure those lifecycle methods. Yes, guys. At the end, we confirmed one thing, guys. What is that? Only for singleton scope beans there is destruction event and destroy lifecycle method will execute. Why? Only singleton scope beans will be maintained in the internal cache of IOC container. Come on, guys. For prototype scope bean, no destruction event, no destroy lifecycle method execution. Init lifecycle method execution is there for any scope bean, guys. Sir, what are the advantages of declarative approach, my dear? Here, Spring Bean can be invasive or non-invasive. Here, Spring Bean can be invasive or non-invasive. Invasive means dependent to Spring API. Non-invasive means independent of Spring API. Okay, guys. Next one. In user-defined classes, we can take custom methods as lifecycle method. You can take your choice method names as what? Init lifecycle method, destroy lifecycle method while working with user-defined classes. Constraint, that means drawbacks. We must remember and configure Spring Bean lifecycle methods. Spring Bean lifecycle method in Spring Bean configuration file. Otherwise, they will not be executed. Come on. Otherwise, they will not be executed. Okay, boss. Next one, while configuring predefined classes as Spring Beans, while configuring predefined classes as Spring Beans, identifying Spring Bean lifecycle method are present or not, and configuring them by knowing their names. Configuring them by knowing their names is very, very difficult. Understanding my statement or not? Okay, Dharmendra Kumar, no process is there to call init lifecycle method before injection. After injection only init lifecycle method will be called. Okay, that's the lifecycle method, boss. Event cannot be in your control. Who raises event? IOC container. IOC container always raises event at fixed time only. Event lifecycle event cannot be changed as you want. Lifecycle events cannot be changed as you want. You know that. Okay, guys. Now let us try to understand what is the flow in this process, boss. Spring Bean lifecycle declarative approach. What is the flow of execution? How these lifecycle methods will be executed? Listen. Regular flow only, but it will just verify for those methods. IOC container is created, XML is loaded, verified well formed or not, valid or not. And in-memory metadata of Spring Bean configuration file is created. Now it goes to here. It goes there and verify. Are there any singleton scope beans, guys? Yes, there is only one bean and it is default scope is singleton. And observe what injection is enabled. Setter injection. First loads the class, creates the object and complete these injections. Okay, before putting this object in the internal cache, it will search, is there any init lifecycle method configuration? Yes. Yes, there is init lifecycle method configuration. From init method, that lifecycle method name is gathered, guys, and method is called. That method is called. So init lifecycle method executed successfully, no exception, guys. Now Spring Bean class object is kept in internal cache. Internal cache. Okay, with this line is completed. Then ctx.getBean water. It go to internal cache of IOC container searches. Is there any bean object having bean ID water? Yes, there. Yes, there. Yes, there. Gets the object. After that, we are calling the business method. Business method executed, we get a message whether person is eligible to vote or not. Cool, guys. Lastly, what we are calling ctx.close. We are asking container to close. Before closing container, it will try to destroy all objects that are there with IOC container. Nothing but that are there in the internal cache of IOC container. So right now, how many objects are there? Only one bean object is there. One bean object is there. Okay, goes to Spring Bean in-memory metadata of Spring Bean configuration file. Is there any destroy method configuration? Yes. What is that? My destroy. So goes to Spring Bean class, verifies if my destroy method is there or not there. Yes, there. My destroy executes. After that, container will be closed. That means first we ask to close the container, but before that it will search, are there any singleton scope beans in internal cache of IOC container? Yes, there. And takes that bean, goes to its in-memory metadata. Is there any destroy lifecycle method configuration? Yes, there. First, that destroy lifecycle method executes, then destruction of Spring Bean class object takes place, then container will be closed. Process started for the container closing only, but first what happened? Destroy method, then bean class object destruction, then container closing takes place. Then container closing takes place. Everyone understood these points, guys? Okay. So what is the next one? Programmatic approach, guys. So let's get into today's discussion. Let's go for programmatic approach. Programmatic approach. Yes. Here, Spring Bean class should implement the Spring supplied, the Spring API supplied interfaces. The Spring API supplied interfaces. The Spring API supplied interfaces. Okay, what is first one? I'll give along with the package name, don't worry. The Spring API supplied interfaces. Yeah, in the class, if you want to open source code, guys, without typing class name in the editor, Control plus Shift plus T. Control plus Shift plus T. Search for this one. Initializing bean. Initializing bean interface. You will get the source code. Only in Maven and Gradle projects, not everywhere. What is the package name? This is the package name. Dot initializing bean interface. What is this, guys? Initializing bean interface. And this is having one method. What is that method? Public void after properties set. Next one. Disposable bean interface, guys. Control plus Shift plus T. What is the next one? Disposable. Disposable bean interface. Disposable bean interface. Yes, guys. Copy this, boss. Say paste. Disposable bean interface. Here is my public void destroy method. Public void destroy method. Okay, guys. We use this after property set method alternate to custom init method. Come on, guys. We use this destroy method alternate to custom destroy method. Custom destroy method. Are you understanding my point? Yes, boss. Right. If you want to see the source code of any Java class or interface, interface or enum or annotation whose libraries are added to Gradle or Maven project. What is this? Control plus Shift plus T. Control plus Shift plus T. Search for the class. Search for the class or interface or enum or annotation. Listen, if it is typed in editor, you press F3 button, source code will come. But class name is not typed in the editor. But I want to search and open the source code because jars are added to the libraries. That time what we have to go for, guys? Control plus Shift plus T. Are you getting my point, guys? Control plus Shift plus T. Okay. Disposable bin. Spell mistake. Let me correct it. Disposable bin interface. Yes, guys. This approach makes Spring Bean classes as invasive classes. Invasive classes. Nothing but tightly coupled classes with Spring Beans. Tightly coupled classes with Spring API. Got it, boss? Fine. So shall we go for it, boss? I'll take a copy of the same project. I'll try to convert into Spring Bean lifecycle programmatic approach, guys. Same logic I will write, but approach I will change. Nice, boss. Here you observe voter verifier. I'll make my voter verifier implementing initializing bean interface, comma, disposable bean interface. Okay. So in that process, two methods I have to implement. Add unimplemented methods. See, two methods have come. Order is not important. They can be placed anywhere. Okay, boss. Now what I do is, whatever logic is there in custom destroy method, copy, paste. Whatever logic is there in custom destroy method, copy, paste. Here, what is the method, guys? Destroy method. Destroy method belongs to disposable bean interface. Yes, guys. My init method, whatever logic is there in my init method, I will try to write here. What is the method here? After properties set. Properties set. Okay, after properties set belonging to which one, guys? Initializing bean interface. Initializing bean interface. Okay. Hari, yes, I'll murder you. Yesterday, someone asked this question. I said, in different situation, we have to go for different approach. First of all, let me introduce all three approaches. Worst fellow. Yesterday, I scolded on this question again. Today, same thing. First, let me introduce all three approaches. At the end, we conclude. You don't believe me, na? Total, how many approaches are there? Three are there. I'm just introducing second approach. Hari, this is the last warning I am giving. Next time, if you ask this kind of questions, before I conclude, if you try to excite and ask this kind of question, I will remove you from the meeting. I clearly said, let me introduce all the three approach. At the end, we will conclude when to use which approach. I have not completed second approach. I have not given its pros and cons. I have not launched the third approach, and you are excited and asking. You are wasting my time and your time and others' time. Yesterday you asked, I said, wait till end, I will give conclusion. Dirty fellow. I don't know where people keeps the brain, guys. Okay. Wait, let me complete all the things. No, if I ignore, they will think that Sir is not answering my question. Waste fellows, mud eaters. First, focus on what I am teaching, Ra Babu. What to teach, in which order teach, when to conclude, how to conclude, leave it to me. Okay, guys. Now I'm commenting this one. Commenting this one. Right. Commenting this one. Okay. Here is my destroy method also. I am commenting. Okay. Now what we got, guys? Destroy method of disposable bean is there. After property set method of this one. Okay, guys. Now listen. Whatever logic I have written in my INIT method, I have written in after property set method. Whatever logic I have written in what? My destroy method, I have written in custom destroy, disposable bean destroy method. Everything remains same, guys. But listen carefully. Most interestingly, I need not to configure lifecycle method anywhere. Then how does they will execute, sir? Then how does they will execute, sir? Come on. By seeing interface implementation, they will be executed automatically. Really, sir? Yes. By seeing interface implementation, IOC container automatically calls both lifecycle method. Sure, sir. Right. Right now, everything is perfect, boss. Okay. Right now, everything is perfect. Close all the editors. Voter verifier.java. Application context.xml. Oh, I removed in wrong place. Huh? Okay. Okay, guys. Right. I think previous one I modified 1 minute. In in this whole process. In the previous one, we lost the content. Init method is equal to my init. Okay, destroy method is equal to my destroy. Okay. Fine. Right. Leave it, guys. This one. No need of configuring anything, boss. No need of configuring anything. So what is the point I want to case? Here, no need of configuring lifecycle methods in Spring Bean configuration file. Spring Bean configuration file, but they will be called by IOC container automatically based on the interfaces that Spring Bean is implementing, that Spring Bean class is implementing. Right, boss? Okay. Now listen carefully. Initializing bean, guys. Okay, destroy method. Right now, everything is perfectly there, boss. Go to client application. Write it. Java application, boss. See, guys. Oh, custom init method message is coming. How come? Am I running the correct one? I think I am running the wrong one. Okay. Go to programmatic approach one, guys. Go to programmatic approach one. Yes, this is 20th project. This is 20th project. Okay, water verifier also for 20th project we will take. Yes, Spring Bean lifecycle test, guys. Observe this. Java application. Yes, boss. Listen. Water verifier after properties set initializing bean executed or not? And destroy method is also executed or not? Destroy method also executed or not? Definitely, boss. And next, listen. I have given wrong inputs. -10. Exception will come or will not come. All basics are same, guys. After calling after properties set method. After calling after properties set method. Yes, we are getting exception. What is the exception? Invalid inputs are given for name, comma, age values. All fundamentals are same or not, guys? Come on. Okay. Sir, how does it is executed? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. IOC container creation, loading of XML, checking well formed or not, valid or not, in-memory metadata creation. In-memory metadata creation. Searches for is there any singleton scope beans? Yes, there. What injection, setter injection? Cool. What injection, guys? Setter injection? Cool. Now tell me. Tell me. Loads the class and creates the object. Completes the injection. Before keeping the Spring Bean object in internal cache, it will search. Is there any init lifecycle method? Not there. Okay. And again now search. Is this bean class implementing initializing bean interface or not? Is this bean class implementing initializing bean interface or not? Yes, implementing. Array current bean class is implementing initializing bean interface or not? Yes, implementing. So happily calls after properties set method automatically. Calls what? After properties set method automatically. Verifies whether correct values are injected or not. Let us assume correct values are injected. Okay, now that bean class object is kept in internal cache, guys. That bean class object is kept in what? Internal cache. Come on. Okay, with this IOC container creation process is over. Then gets the bean object from internal cache. Calls the business method. Cool, guys. Then ctx dot close method. Okay, before closing container, it will try to destroy all singleton scope objects. In the internal cache, how many objects are there? One object is there. Now goes to in-memory metadata of that Spring Bean configuration, searches. Is there any destroy hyphen method configuration? Not there. And it verifies whether this bean class is implementing disposable bean interface or not. Yes, implementing. Yes, implementing. That's why destroy method executes where nullification of bean properties takes place. Where nullification of bean properties takes place. So that means one thing is clear, guys. Okay, guys. One thing is clear. What is that? Before keeping Spring Bean class object in internal cache, it is also verifying for init hyphen method attribute is there or not there, initializing bean interface is implemented or not. Is that? And before destroying Spring Bean class object, okay, it is verifying destroy hyphen method attribute is there or not there, disposable bean interface is there or not there. Are you getting my point there, guys? I think you understood a programmatic approach. Yes, I'll take a copy of it. Here is example, I will say. Example, right. In this example, just a minute, guys. In this example, I just want to remove my init method, my destroy method, my init method, my destroy method. Yes, guys. What is this? Water verifier dot Java. Water verifier dot Java. Yes, boss. And I want to even highlight application context dot XML. Client application, I don't want to highlight, guys. Here is my application context dot XML. Yes, boss. Copy this, paste it. Right. Now listen, pros of what is this programmatic approach? Pros of programmatic approach. Can you find out what are the advantages of this approach, guys? Anyone? No need of configuring. No need of configuring Spring Bean lifecycle methods explicitly. Methods explicitly. No need of configuring Spring Bean lifecycle method explicitly. By seeing interface, by seeing special interfaces implementation. Come on. by seeing special interfaces implementation, the IOC container calls after properties set method, comma, destroy methods as the lifecycle methods. Spring Bean lifecycle method. Now tell me guys, here Spring Bean lifecycle method names are fixed names. Lifecycle, here Spring Bean lifecycle method names are fixed names. Come on guys, fixed names are not. Time to time you need not to worry about changing them. They are fixed names, right? Okay, there are the advantages. What about disadvantages, guys? Cons. Cons, guys. Cons. Next one. Makes spring beans as invasive classes. Invasive classes. Come on, guys. Next. Cannot be used while configuring third party supplied. Come on, can we make third party supplied classes as Spring? Then can we make third party supplied? Can we make third party supplied classes implementing initializing bean interface, guys? Cannot be used while configuring third party supplied classes as third party supplied classes, comma, other than Spring API, comma, user defined classes, other than Spring API supplied, comma, supplied classes, okay, comma, user defined classes as Spring Beans. Cannot be used while configuring third party supplied classes as Spring Beans, and also other than Spring API supplied classes, okay, other than Spring API supplied classes, comma, user defined classes as Spring Beans, guys. Okay, boss. Understanding my statement? User defined classes we can implement manually. Spring API supplied classes may be implementing. See, there are so many classes implementing initializing bean interface. Initializing bean interface docs, guys. See, these many implementation classes are there. Are you listening my statement, guys? Similarly, that means there are so many predefined classes applied by Spring implementing these in this interface or not. Implementing this interface or not. Similarly, go for disposable bean docs, guys. Implementing this also many are there. Come on, guys. Many are there. So that means when you while working with Spring supplied predefined classes as Spring Beans, guys. Spring supplied predefined classes as Spring Beans. This is very, very useful or not? This is really, really useful or not? Come on. Okay. I'll practically show, guys. I'll practically show control plus shift plus C, data source transaction manager. Some predefined class, guys. Don't worry. I'm opening its a source code and it is implementing what interface? Initializing bean interface, right? It is having what property? Data source property. And here you search for after properties set method. Here you search for after properties such method. Observe exactly what we thought same thing is there. If get data source double equal to null, it is throwing exception or not. After properties set, if you get data source double equal to null, it is throwing exception or not. Come on, my dears. So it is checking whether data source property is injected or not. If not injected, exception is coming or not coming. Okay, I'm just confirming, boss, nothing else. It is after property set method, nothing but custom init method is useful to check whether important properties are injected with correct values or not, right? Okay, guys. In data source transaction manager class that implements initializing bean interface Okay, guys. After properties set method is like this. After properties set method is like this. So verifying whether important property is injected or not. If not injected, exception is thrown. If not injected, exception is thrown. So mainly this is very useful while configuring predefined Spring supplied predefined classes as Spring Beans, boss. Understanding my point there? Okay, I'll conclude that also. Okay, now what is the third one, guys? Annotation driven approach. Annotation driven approach, guys. Yes, generally we use in what? Annotation driven environment. Annotation driven environment, 100% code driven environment, Spring Boot environment. Okay, Spring Boot environment. Yes, we try to use this what? Annotation approach. Are you listening my statement, boss? Right. Okay. File open. Open yesterday's one. What is the third one? This is the third one. Annotation approach, boss. Copy this. File open. Open today's one. Yes, come to annotation approach. Come to annotation approach. Shall we get into annotation approach, guys? Yes. We generally use this technique. This approach while working, while developing. Okay, guys, while developing Spring applications. Okay, while developing Spring applications. While developing Swaroop Sarkar, I didn't inject the data source, worst fellow. I just confirmed in after properties set method. In after properties set method driver manager data source, it is checking whether data source is injected or not. Okay. Data source is injected or not. That is what I discussed. Or I am talking about 18th. That is nowhere related to 18th project. Worst dirty fellow. I opened one predefined class driver manager data source. I have shown how predefined Spring classes are using after properties set method. In 18th project, I didn't inject a data source. Keep your mind and eyes and body in control and listen the class. In 18th project, did I inject a data source, boss? In 19th project, did I inject data source? No. I just confirmed one thing. There is a predefined class called driver manager data source, guys. There, how after properties set method is used. I'm just giving double confirmation. I don't know where people keeps the brain while attending classes, guys. Okay. We generally use this approach while developing Spring applications in either listen completely or sleep completely. Don't do this mixed process. Okay. Annotation driven configuration. 100% code driven configurations. Next, Spring Boot configuration. Spring Boot configuration. In these three approaches, this annotation approach will be discussed, guys. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Come on, come on. Annotation. In these three approaches, this technique will be utilized. Okay. Shall I convert my project into that one, boss? Yes. Here what? Init lifecycle method by using post construct annotation. Destroy lifecycle by using pre-destroy annotation. Come on. Right. I'll take a previous project and I will convert into what? Copy, paste. IOC pros 21, Spring Bean lifecycle. IOC pros 21, Spring Bean lifecycle. Come on. Tell me here, what is this? Annotation. Annotation approach, boss. Spring Bean lifecycle annotation approach. Okay, to avoid confusion, close all the editors, guys. Again, to avoid the confusion, here comment this one also, guys. I'm commenting this. I'm again commenting this. Okay. No programmatic approach, no declarative approach code. Are you listening? And moreover, no need of implementing any interfaces. Come on. Yes, boss. Now listen. I want to now configure with annotations. Or in annotation environment, this will be used now, boss. It's a normal bin. Component. Component water. Super, guys. Next, I don't want hard code inputs here. I want to get inputs from properties file. Come on, come on. Because it's annotation environment, we are already configuring through annotations, right? So I want to collect these values from properties file. Shall I get these values from properties file, guys? Simple. com.nt.commons. com.nt.commons, guys. Here, what is this? Here, others. Spring Bean configuration file, guys. What is this? Inputs.properties. Some name, guys. Some name, don't worry. Inputs.properties. Oh, it has become inputs.properties.xml. I think I have done wrong one. Okay. Right click, new, other file. New other file. Tell me here. Inputs.properties. What dot properties, guys? Inputs dot properties. Tell me, guys. Voter dot or VT dot name Raja. VT dot age some 30. Right. Okay. Only two properties I want to collect. You know that. At the rate value placeholder VT dot name. Don't keep surprising face. We already discussed all this stuff. Control plus shift plus this. Next VT dot age, guys. This is my VT dot age. At the rate value VT dot name. At the rate value VT dot age. Are you comfortable, guys? Super. Okay. Now I just want to check whether values are injected properly or not. Are for field level injections, do I need these setter methods now? For field level injection, do I need any setter methods, guys? No. But okay. I will take my init method, guys. I'll take my with the same logic, but to make it custom init method through annotation at the rate post construct. What is that, guys? At the rate post construct. At the rate post construct. Now listen, guys. Earlier this annotation used to come in. This annotation used to come in JDK itself, but now they are giving in a separate jar file. And we have to add that jar file seriously. Earlier in the old versions, up to Java 11 or 12, they used to give in JDK itself. But from Java 11 onwards, they stopped giving in what? JDK. They are giving in a separate jar file. And you have to add that jar file, boss. So, shall we know what is that jar file? Can we add that jar file, guys? You change Java version to 8, guys. Happily, in the JDK itself, this annotation is available. I think from Java 11, it seems they have removed from JDK. They are giving in a separate jar file. Okay, guys. So I don't know what is that jar file. I forgot. No problem. Here we can get at the rate post construct jar file in new Java versions. You type like this. In new Java version. Listen, guys. At the rate post construct post destroy with Java 11. They are JDK given annotation for which Spring is providing functionality. For which Spring is providing functionality. Are you listening my statement, guys? Yes. Now listen. Listen. Java X dot annotation hyphen API. Java X dot annotation hyphen API. One new jar we have to add, boss. Java X dot annotation API. Java X dot annotation API. Are you understanding my statement, boss? In new version, it is there in a separate place. So Java 9 plus Java X plus annotation API. From Java 9 onwards, this is the jar we have to add. Not Java 11. Java 9 onwards, this issue is there. Up to Java 8 only they have kept in JDK. From Java 9 onwards, they have changed it, guys. So no problem. We'll go to mvnrepository.com. What is the annotation, guys? Java X dot annotation API. Java X dot annotation API. Yes, 1.3.2, guys. Collect it, guys. Okay, go to pom.xml. Go to pom.xml. Paste. Yes, okay. After that, control plus shift plus O. Now, error gone or not? Now, error gone or not, guys? Come on. Yes, from Java 9 onwards, this change is happening. Please be very careful. Okay, guys. Now tell me here. Copy this. Say paste. Right. Destroy method. No override. Here I will write @pre-destroy. Hey, these method names are not fixed, guys. Any name you can take. You are not liking my INIT. Let me take our INIT. Okay, guys. What is the method name? Our INIT method. Our INIT method. It's like a declarative approach, but configuration is done through annotation. It's like declarative approach, but configuration is done through annotation. Okay, here is what? Our destroy method. What is this? Our destroy method. Yes. This is custom destroy method. Custom destroy method, but through annotation, guys. Custom destroy method through annotation. Super. Okay. So now, listen, I have to configure properties file and I have to write context colon component scan or not. I need to write context colon component scan. What do you say, guys? No need of configuring this. Import context namespace. Import context namespace. Come on, guys. Now tell me. Context colon component scan. com.nt.beans. Okay. Next, context colon property placeholder location is equal to com.nt.commons. What is the name of the property file, guys? Input.properties. Super. Input.properties. Input.properties. What is missing? Inputs are inputa. Okay, inputs. Fine. Here I have taken inputs. Now let me take the inputs. That's it, guys. Okay. Right now I have given proper values. Right now I have given proper values. All will be executed happily, boss. Check it out. File not found exception. Yes, it's my mistake. When it is a file, not a dot, it is a slash. When it is a file, it is slash. When it is a class, then only. When it is a package, then only dot. Fine. Now you observe, guys. Object is created. Init method is executed. And business method is executed. Even destroy method is executed. Executed or not? Come on. Pre-destroy. Our init method is executed. Our destroy method is executed. That means annotations are recognized and lifecycle methods are detected or not. Okay. Now I will try to give wrong inputs, guys. -30. -30 I will try to give. Again, exception will come or not. Object created. Okay. Init method is executed and it is noticed wrong inputs are there. It has noticed wrong inputs are there. Are you noticing it, guys? Okay. Super. Okay. Now let me say one thing. Repeat namespace importing. I will murder you, a worst fellow. Ramanji, namespace importing. Now you are asking today. Dirty fellow. And you claim that you know microservices also. And you don't know how to import the namespace importing. Jump into the drainage. It's all about just selecting context. Go to namespace tab, select it. And that to context namespace is new was. Context namespace is new. Such a item people I have in this batch, boss. All people are like this. Only 1-2 people are like that. Every day I'm importing namespace and this fellow is asking me repeat namespace importing. Great, guys. Fine. Ramanja, I remembered. Other day, microservices. Big list you have given. And you don't know how to import the namespace. Great fellow. Okay. What's the use of such knowledge? People think that what questions they asked, what mails they kept, I'll forget. Okay, boss. So shall we? Let me write one point here. Yes. Up to Java 8. Up to Java 8. At the rate post construct. At the rate pre-destroy. Annotations are part of JDK. Part of JDK. So, no need of adding extra jar files. No need of adding extra jar files to work with these annotations. To work with these annotations. But from Java 9, they removed from JDK and given in separate jar file. Separate jar file. Can you tell me what is that jar file, guys? Given in separate jar file. Okay. Java X dot Java X dot annotation hyphen. There is option. Copy qualified name, guys. Yes, guys. I don't need location. I just need jar file name. Java X dot jar file. To get this jar file, to get this jar file, add following dependency in pom.xml. Okay, guys. Pom.xml. Okay, fine. Context namespace is there to work with those features that are related to application context container. Mr. Ash Gupta, context namespace we generally use while working with application context container feature. So context namespace contains those tags that are related to application context container. Basic common sense. Application context container features, context namespace. So generally we started working more and more context namespace from which concept, guys? After introducing application context container, na boss. So that's the reason they named it as a context namespace. Fine. Pom.xml, you have to add this extra jar file. Where is my pom.xml, guys? Here is my pom.xml. In this pom.xml, not this one, this is the story. Copy this, paste it. Right. Okay. Java X dot annotation. Swarup Patkar, I am removing you because your camera is on. Okay. Java X dot annotation API. This is the jar, you have to add it. Okay, guys. Example application. Example code. Example code. So today I want to give three things, boss. Input dot properties. Inputs dot properties. That's the first one. Inputs dot properties. Yes, guys. Next, voter verifier, guys. Voter verifier, guys. This is my voter verifier. Voter verifier dot java. Say paste. Voter verifier dot java. Say paste. Still business method is not placed. Let me place the business method, which is there at the end. Which is there at the end. Done, boss. Right. Then go to application context.xml. Application context.xml. Yes. Application context.xml. Come to this place. Say paste. Yes. What I want to highlight here is this one. Post construct and pre-destroy methods. Logic is same, guys. Only annotations are different. Post construct and pre-destroy. And what I have to highlight in programmatic approach is implementation of these two interfaces and after properties set method and my destroy method. Okay, one standard interview question. If I apply all the three approaches at a time, in which order they will be executed? Shall I go for that one, boss? If I apply all the three approaches at a time, all the three approaches at a time, in which order they will be executed? In which order they will be executed? Are you getting my point, guys? So for that purpose, first of all, I should take setter methods also. Because now I have to apply all the three approaches now, boss. 1 minute. I don't want to disturb this. This is purely for experiment only. Go to annotation. That's why all three approaches. All three approaches. All three I will write 22. This is purely for experiment. No one will use all three at a time. Only for interview sake I am learning. Only interview sake I am teaching this point, guys. Yes. Voter verifier, boss. Voter verifier. I will write setter methods also. Close all the things to avoid the confusion. Yes. But other time we removed setter methods. Let me add the setter method. Alt shift yes. Or select setters. No verification date. I want to get them after constructor. Yes, boss. Systrace. Here also systrace. Okay. Let me make this class implementing. Implements. Come on. Initializing bean interface. Disposable bean interface, guys. And in that process, let me highlight. This is a declarative code. This is disposable bean destroy method. This is initializing bean after properties set method. This is a declarative code destroy method. This is again what? Declarative code destroy method. Super. Now all three approaches are on, guys. But to give the feeling all three approaches are on, what should I do? Array, now I configured with annotation. Huh? I configured with annotation. Since I configured with annotation, I cannot place what? Custom init method, custom destroy method. So that's why, though it is predefined, only for experiment sake, I will try to configure using annotation. I'll try to configure using annotation. Sorry, XML. I try to configure using XML. Then only I can give all this stuff now, boss. Bean ID, water, class is equal to voter verifier. No one will do, guys. This is only for interview sake. Everyone use one of the three approaches only. Only for interview sake, right? It's something like this. At the rate auto at field level, constructor level, setter method level. At a time, no one will do all the places. But we studied for interview sake or not. Same thing here. Init hyphen method. My init. Destroy hyphen method. My destroy. Yes, guys. Now tell me. Property name. Value is equal to Raja. Perfect values only I will give. Property name. Okay. Is. Property name is. Value is equal to. Value is equal to. Come on. Value is equal to 30. But listen. Component scan is removed means. What is that? Annotations won't work. To make annotations working, pre-destroy post construct, I have to write at least context colon annotation config or not. Earlier, because of component scan, annotation config activated automatically. Now I commented it because I configured my Spring Bean through XML. But I have to activate this annotation config or not. Then only post construct and pre-destroy annotations will be activated, right? Okay. Now come to this place, guys. When all the three are there, what is the order of execution? Java application, guys. Java application. Observe. First custom init method, then initializing bean. First what is that? Annotation init method, boss. Annotation init method, then initializing bean, then declarative approach one. Then declarative approach one. Did you notice it, guys? And reverse also. Check it out. First, at the rate destroy method. Destroy method. Disposable bean and declarative my destroy method. Declarative my destroy method. As our order is like that, that's why it is happening. I'll try to change the order. At the rate post construct, I will try to put at the end of my init. Now listen, Spring Bean life cycle test. Do you think order is changed, guys? Order is changed, guys. Annotation init method, initializing bean init method, and declarative init method. And declarative init method. Are you noticing it, boss? Okay, boss. 1 minute. Before reviewing this question and answer, pros of annotation approach. Pros of annotation approach. Yeah, first let me complete it. Array, annotation gets high priority, no doubt in that. When there is no setter method, no working of property tag XML. Hemanta, today you realized a great, good learning. Property tag is given for setter injection. Without setter method, how property tag works, ra worst fellow. Practice ra babu, practice ra babu. Don't just in the classroom ra naina. Bah. Don't just in the classroom. Don't sit in the classroom. If you practice, you never get this kind of doubts. Look at his question. I don't know from which planet these people will come without doing practicals, guys. Okay, fine. Yes, since I removed annotation, boss, if you remove at the rate value, not a problem. Since I removed annotation, if you remove at the rate value, not a issue. Got the point? First, let me concentrate on this point. Pros of annotation approach, guys. Tell me, what is the pros of annotation approach? Advantages of annotation approach. Can be used in annotation driven configurations, 100% code driven configurations, and in Spring Boot. Yes or no, na? Right. Okay. We can minimize XML code based configurations. We can minimize XML code based configurations. Cons. Cons, guys. Cons. What is next? We can use only in user defined classes. Come on, guys. Can we add annotations in predefined classes? We can use only in user defined classes that are configured as Spring Beans. Yes or no, na? That are configured as Spring Beans, guys. That are configured as Spring Beans. To change Spring Bean lifecycle method names. Achha, that is not a problem, guys. Anyhow, we have to modify. Next one from Java 9. Separate jar file required. Separate jar file needs to be added. What is that jar file, guys? Java x.annotation APA-version.jar. Some jar file we have to add or not, guys? Super. Okay. This is the, sorry, every approach is having advantages and disadvantages. Then what is the better approach of lifecycle management? This question is eating your brain. Yes, I'll come to that question, but first of all, let me address this question. On a Spring Bean, if we enable Spring Bean lifecycle management in all three approaches, in which order, all three approaches will execute. in which order they will be executed. In which order they will be executed. In which order they will be executed. Answer. First, annotation. Annotation configuration. Next, programmatic. Next, declarative. This is the order. Then declarative. Same for both init and same for both init and destroy lifecycle methods. Same for both init and destroy lifecycle methods. First annotation configuration, then programmatic configuration, then declarative configuration. This is the order that is happening or not? Okay. Only for experiment. Only for experiment. We never use all the three approaches at a time. Okay, na? Right, boss. Next, conclusion. Conclusion on Spring Bean life cycle. Conclusion on Spring Bean life cycle. Yes, guys. Now listen carefully. If Spring Bean is a user-defined class and it is developed in annotation environment, go for annotation approach. Go for annotation approach. That's the best. Are you listening my statement, guys? If Spring Bean class is user-defined class, if Spring Bean class is user-defined class and the Spring application is developed in annotation configurations are okay, guys. Okay, annotation configurations are 100% code configurations are Spring Boot. Then go for what concept, guys? Go for annotations based Spring Bean lifecycle. Annotations based Spring Bean lifecycle. Right, boss? If Spring Bean class is the Spring API supplied. If the Spring Bean class is the Spring API supplied class implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces, then go for programmatic approach. Otherwise, yeah, if it is not implement, if Spring Bean is Spring API supplied class and if it is implementing initializing bean disposable bean interfaces, then go for programmatic approach of Spring Bean life cycle. Otherwise, go for annotation approach or declarative approach. No option declarative approach. Because on predefined classes, can we add annotations? On predefined classes, can we add annotations? No. So that's why if I feel Spring API supplied class, but not implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces, then what should I do? Go for declarative approach. Otherwise, go for declarative approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. I hope you are able to put your weapons right. Last one. If Spring Bean class is third party supplied class, tell me, on third party classes, can we add annotations? No. On third party classes, can we implement initializing bean interfaces? Okay, then only option that is left is what? Third party supplied Java class. Then go for declarative approach. Declarative approach of Spring Bean lifecycle. Yes or no? Na? Fourth point. If Spring Bean class is user-defined class of, come on, user-defined class of XML-driven configuration. XML-driven configuration. Then again go for declarative approach. In XML-driven, there is no question of working with. There, my first priority should be what, guys? Declarative approach is good, right? Declarative approach is good. I think everyone liked the conclusion part, guys. Based on the situation, you have to go for the approach, guys. That's the reason someone asked, what is the good approach? I said, wait, Babu, based on the situation, you have to choose the approach. Because you leave that topic to me, boss. When to introduce what concept? This is the right time to introduce which one is good in which situation. Once again, let me summarize. My Spring Bean class is user-defined class. And I am developing application using annotation-driven environment or 100% code-driven environment or Spring Boot environment. Then what is the better approach, guys? Annotation approach. My Spring Bean class is Spring supplied predefined class. Implementing initializing bean and disposable bean interfaces. Then go for programmatic. No, not implementing. Then go for declarative approach. Because in predefined classes, anyhow, we cannot add annotations, right? Okay. If Spring Bean is third party supplied class, we cannot add annotation. On third party supplied class, we cannot expect what? Initializing bean and what? Disposable bean interfaces. Again, declarative approach. Are you understanding my point there? Third party supplied Java class. Third party means like what? Hikari CP, Apache DBCP, XYZ. Come on, guys. Third party means what? Not given by programmer, not given by Spring, not given by Java. Someone else given. Third party means what can I say, guys? That's why study advanced Java, core Java properly. Then you will recognize terminology called third party. Come on. Third party you are not recognizing. Okay. Arun Kumar, you have to, in third party supplied class, if you have to find out, if there you configure, otherwise don't configure. In third party classes, you have to search for this. If they have given, you have to configure. If they have not given, that's Spring Bean without lifecycle methods. That's it. That's a Spring Bean without lifecycle methods. User defined class, but we are going for XML approach. User defined class, we are preferring XML configuration. Again, declarative approach. Here, annotation approach. Here, programmatic approach or declarative based on the situation. Here, declarative approach. Here, again, declarative approach. So, this is about Spring Bean total end to end, guys. I hope you enjoyed Spring Bean lifecycle end to end discussion. Come on. You should have a patience to ask such questions. Then I will give elaborated answers. So that's why nowadays I'm guessing, I'm saying wait till end, then I will conclude. No, Spring Basics not end, guys. Still we have to learn 100% code driven programming. Till Thursday, Spring Basics will be continued. Friday onwards, Spring Boot will be started. Thank you, guys. Have a nice time. I'll upload the applications. Don't worry.